Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
Is an anti-woke economy emerging? Now, here's why we're asking that question. There's a conservative media outlet called the Daily Wire, and it is selling and it is raking in the money from woke-free shaving gear. Their slogan is shave like a man, not a manifesto. And that is a reaction to some left-wing causes that other companies have taken up. Here is an expert on branding and trust. He heads up Idea Grove, which is a full-service marketing company. Scott Baradell is back on my Davison Family Dentistry Newsmaker line. Scott, welcome back to WHO Radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, Scott, do you think there is any money in these companies taking up specific political ideologies?
Well, absolutely. You mentioned the Daily Wire. They made $22 million last year off of these products, and that's everything from their Jeremy's razors, which were a response to Harry's razors, which they considered too woke and which pulled advertising from Daily Wire, to more novelty products like Liberal Tears dog bowls and things like that. And that's 10% of Daily Wire's overall revenues last year. So it's not insignificant.
Is it, though, limiting your audience, or is there a big enough audience? And I mean that for the left and the right. If you're a company that wants to be out front with left-wing causes and supporting left-wing causes, you would seem like you were limiting your audience, but maybe not. What do you think, Scott?
Well, you look at a product like razors, or another one that's emerged as coffee, because you go from Starbucks to a conservative response, which would be Black Rifle. Then Black Rifle's not considered conservative enough, so there's 1775 coffee, and it goes on and on. And if products are considered, if consumers consider products relatively the same, they're going to go in the direction of a product that they identify with more. And values and politics are a way to make a connection. So I would say it can be a good way to differentiate yourself. Yes, you're absolutely limiting your market, but you're also creating a market.
So that's interesting, Scott. So would there be some products off limits? You know, I'm thinking like, do I really want my laundry detergent company being more right-wing or left-wing? Or is this something that there'll always be kind of a niche market for in the future?
Well, it's a pretty new phenomenon. You know, it was only about 20 years ago that Tom's shoes emerged, and they were a values-based product where, you know, buy a pair of shoes from us and we'll donate a pair of shoes to someone in an impoverished region of the world. And that really was the key to its success, and a lot of brands followed that model. What's happened is, as our politics has become more and more polarized and frankly nasty, you know, a lot of this kind of values-based selling has turned into, you know, something that has a little sharper, nastier edge to it.
You're listening to Scott Baradell on News Radio 1040 WHO. So, Scott, you're in the marketing business. Could you see a future where there are just consumers and everything in their home, everything they buy is based on the ideological leanings of companies? So you could have basically a conservative market for customers that will only buy companies that are touting the conservative line, and, you know, over on the left, same thing. They're only buying products that will support their particular causes. Is that a thing that could emerge?
I don't think so. I think for certain niches and for people who feel very passionate about their politics, yes. But, you know, if you look at it, most of what you're seeing in this, what's being called the anti-woke economy, is a reaction to brands that aren't overtly identifying themselves as being political. Harry's razors doesn't overtly say we support the left. I mean, there's a Starbucks, but people see how they behave. People see how Disney has been running. People see the promotion Bud Light did with a transgender activist, and they react to those things. So those are brands they're all struggling to say, hey, we're trying to be brands that appeal to everybody, or at least our core base. How do we do that? And those brands are struggling, but they're also trying to reach bigger audiences. It's a lot easier to be a Jeremy's razor, where you know that your audience is only going to be so big. You've scaled your business in that way. But if you're trying to reach a really big audience, like many brands are, you can't, you know, it's not that easy. And I think you're going to see, for the most part, You might have brands that associate with values in your home, like I support sustainability. But when that brand starts talking about climate change, you've suddenly turned off a lot of people who might otherwise say they support sustainability.
Yeah, a very insightful analysis this morning. Scott Baradell heads up Idea Grove, which is a full-service marketing company. Scott, thanks very much for joining me.